27th of October 905. King Constantine and Bishop Shadowkin had met at the Hill of Belief near the royal city of Scone that summer, before Osrith received news of Boca. Harvest was being gathered and Constantine had decided they could not wait. Would not wait, and a procession had been organized from Dunnottar with the good bishop leading the royal family, the monks and the mourners from every part of Alba. That had been the shrewd part. Constantine had learned very well from being in Muir's court the need to devolve power to local lords, power for protection of the land, sub-regulator whom only Constantine was higher. And it had worked. The raids were getting worse ever since the exiled Dublin Norse had travelled to Strathclyde via Man and attacked Owain, Eochaid's younger brother, not long come to the throne 3 years before. The Irish had driven them out, and when they had arrived on Alba's west coast, far from undefended, ill-trained people, at Strathiran, Constantine had stood next to his Cymric cousin and watched Ivar Ivarsson sail away from Alba. The homeless Norse then tried the east coast where, a year ago, just before Easter, the Pictish Mormers of Fortriu defeated and slew Ivar Ivarsson in battle. So they had stopped raiding Alba, Flor now. Instead, the Dublin Norse were now flooding Northumbria, Cumbraland, and more, down the Mercian west coast, giving Ethelfled a headache. Couldn't happen to a nicer person, Osrith thought, bitterly. She finished folding the rest of Edra's clothes, before wrapping the small parcel in sheepskin with thick leather straps. If Constantine could only see how little they took with them, surely he would be gratified that Osrith would be returning. Osrith's thoughts drifted back to their journey east, so Constantine could establish the Mormers formally. How, under a beautiful August sun, not unlike the journey to Tara and Muir's wedding to Flan Sinna and Flan's accession as High King, the entire royal palace stepped out and began to walk or ride to Scone. The entire Alpin family had gone, with Mary holding a princess in her arms, her oldest, Ildub, riding next to his father, Selach, now 10, managing reins skillfully, while Era, Domhnall's widow, her boys, Malcolm and Maldub, named after Era and Mary's cousins, travelled in a litter in the very centre of the procession. Osrith remembered then, and again now, the 2 little rascals, who would not keep still, nor study, put to shame by Neil Glundube, the lover of the natural world, much younger and far more studious. What would have happened to them under Flan's machinations? They were cousins of Domhnall and Neil, sent to court for a stable education from far south in Ulster, to protect them from the Norse incursions. Osrith had watched, as the iron-rich block, which Domhnall had gone to such efforts to bring from Tara, stood at the very centre of the churchlands. 10 years before, Annika had pointed out to her the stone the Saxons used at Kingston upon Thames, in the church dedicated to Saint Mary. Not that he had known he was telling her. The whole of the Mercian royal guard had been standing, in the rain outside the church waiting for Ethelred, Lord of Mercia, to whom Ethelfled had been married. Osrith had served many lords, and he was not too disagreeable, was a good soldier and a good leader, and would have made a strong king, if Alfred had not chosen to use the Danish crisis to make a political move on the territory of Mercia. It rightly wanted its independence back, not to be a vassal of Wessex, and Osrith long suspected her brother's decision to support Alfred with his dream of one England was to spite Ethelred, his cousin by way of his mother's brother, their father's first wife. Bicca had recognized that a good tale would entertain them, and Osrith had gripped Bue's hilt as the priest's words had stilled her racing mind and brought memories of the Bible, read clearly and steadily, in Wibbenberg's chapel, Bicca touching each word with his forefinger, knowing that high up in the beams, she had climbed, face tear-stained from whatever she had done wrong most recently,